Hey guys, welcome back. Today's viewer question is from Mel, and he asked me a question on my transmission service video on why I reused 3 of the 4 quarts that came out on a pan drop when I changed the filter and cleaned the magnet on my 2010 Grand Marquis. And it got me thinking about my upcoming transmission service that I'm going to be installing a drain plug. And I looked on my shelf to make sure I had the right type of fluid and enough fluid on hand to do it. And I realized if one of you guys came in my garage and you saw that I had 2 different types of fluid and 3 different brands of fluid, I might have some splaining to do. So I thought I would take this video to go over some basics with the transmission fluid on our Panther cars and talk about installing a drain plug versus using a hand pump to try to eliminate some of the mess. And then I'll even touch on the transmission flush versus pan drop method. And by the way, everything I'm going to show you in this video, there'll be a link for it down below in the description box. So probably the most common question I get is what type of transmission fluid my Panther car gets. And usually my answer is check your owner's manual, and if you want to go the extra mile, check for technical service bulletins to make sure Ford hasn't come out with a new TSB that says to use a different fluid than what your owner's manual does. So I like this little chart I found. This is from on the Motorcraft website, and it's a chart for all of the automatic transmission fluid usages. And I like it because it's color coded and you can see it goes by year. This one goes from 1999 to 2018. And for our Panther cars, these are the only 2 columns that matter. This is the 4R70W and 4R70E. And then this column is the 4R75W and 4R75E. And you can see from 2008 and older, I want to say going all the way back to 1992, it uses the Mercon V. And starting in 2009, the last 3 years, 09, 10, and 11, they switched to LV. But one thing I want you to take notice of is that from 2004 to 2008, both transmissions were offered, either a 70 or a 75E. And I don't have any proof, but what I think is happening with some of the transmission failures is that they think because the Panther car has the electronic throttle body, it must use the newer LV transmission fluid like the 9, 10, and 11. And these fluids are not interchangeable, the Mercon V and the Mercon LV. So let me show you that real quick. So I pulled this off the Motorcraft website, and this is the description for the Mercon V, and it says on here, do not use in applications where Mercon LV is recommended. And then I pulled the description for the LV, and it says the opposite, or the same thing. Do not use in applications where Mercon V is recommended. So from my understanding, the V and the LV are not interchangeable and they should not be mixed. And what I think is happening is, like I said, with some of the transmission failures, is people or technicians or fleet techs or service departments or agencies are putting the LV in a car when it should take V. And what I learned is that this LV, it stands for low viscosity, so it's much thinner than the old V. And I started thinking about it. Well, why does that, how could that be where the older, thicker fluid is going to work in the new transmission? And I started thinking about it. Well, when they started with the newer 75E transmission, it had maybe a different shift profile, and it also has to do with the electronic throttle body. And so they're able to tweak it so that it can work with the thinner LV fluid, and then the older transmissions need the thicker V fluid. So why would they do that? Why would they switch to the new thinner fluid? Well, what I think is going on is it's all based on fuel economy. They're just trying to squeeze a little bit more gas mileage. And this is from the website fueleconomy.gov, and this is a nice little tool where you can pull up cars and compare them side by side. And so I've pulled up my 04 Crown Vic and my 2010 Grand Marquis. And both my cars are 99% identical. And I want you to take note of the gas mileage. It says the combined is 18 for the Vic and 19 for the Grand Marquis. And on city and highway, the Vic is 1523 and the Grand Marquis is 1624. So across the board, the newer 2010 gets 1 mile gallon better. And so I started thinking about, how did they accomplish that? And what I've come up with, number one, the biggest thing is the tire size. My 04 has the 225/60 16-inch wheels, and the 2010 has the 225/60 17-inch wheels. So it has an inch bigger wheel. And of course, the transmissions are different. My Grand Marquis has the 75E, and the Vic has the 70W. And the Merc has the electronic throttle body, and the Vic has the traditional throttle body. And so they both have identical rear ends. They're both civilian models, so they have that 273 open differential. So I thought I would test that, and so I hooked up my scan tool and I got out on the highway and I set the cruise control at 65 miles an hour. And on my Vic, the engine RPM spins around 1500 RPM, and then when I did that on the Merc, it was around 1350 RPM. So the motor spins 150 RPM less at highway cruising speed. And I think that's because of the bigger tires on the 2010. Okay, so let me show you this fluid. So this right here is the Motorcraft Mercon LV, and this is the Motorcraft Mercon V, and then this is my Walmart brand SuperTech Mercon V, and this is my Walmart brand SuperTech Mercon LV. And then for the first time I'm going to try this. This is the Valvoline MaxLife, and it's touted as a multi-vehicle. So you can use it in a lot of different vehicles, but it says right on there Mercon LV. And the reason why I chose to use this is because when I got my Grand Marquis, I got a Carfax, and 5,000 miles before I bought it, the previous owner had a transmission flush at a Valvoline oil change quick lube place, and it said right on there the address and the phone number. It was up there in Brookings, Oregon. So I called him up there and I said, hey, I'm thinking about bringing my car in for a transmission service. Do you guys drop the pan and change the filter, or do you guys just do a flush? And he said, we only do flushes. We don't drop the pan or change the filter. And I said, well, what kind of fluid do you use? And he says, we only have one fluid. We just use the Valvoline MaxLife. So right then and there I knew that my 2010 Grand Marquis already had this Valvoline MaxLife in it, and that it was done 5,000 miles before I got it. So that's why I reused 3 of the 4 quarts on a pan drop, and I lost a little bit when I changed the filter, so that's why I had to put in 1 new quart. And this time around when I do it, I'm going to be installing this drain plug because I saw a video by WJ Handydad where he installed one, and I thought it was pretty neat. And what I did before is instead of dropping the pan and having 4 quarts of fluid make a mess, I saw a video where this guy used a hand pump and he sucked out fluid through the dipstick, and so to get the majority of the fluid out of the pan so it'll make less of a mess. And what I found is that when you when you suck fluid through the dipstick tube with this pump, I was able to pump out 2.5 quarts of fluid. So when I got all the bolts off my transmission pan, I was able to lower the pan down, and I didn't spill a drop because 1.5 quarts was still in the pan, and it was really nice because I didn't make a mess. And that reminds me, if you want to see what a mess looks like, I want you to go over and see a video by B-Rad on BCM Wolverine channel, part 1 and 2. And he talks about doing it on his 06 Crown Vic LX. And he took a bath because it was his first time. And he got used transmission fluid all in his hair. And he said he had to take 3 showers and 3 shampoos to get all of the transmission fluid out of his hair. And after that, his hair was the softest it's ever been. And I really like that because it reminded me of my first time changing transmission fluid. So this time around, I'm going to have to suck fluid out through the dipstick to get the pan off this time. But when I have the pan off, I'm going to be installing this drain plug because I think it'll be a lot easier when I want to do these services. I can just crack the plug and let gravity do the work, and then 4 quarts will come out. And another thing I want to add is I was worried about this drain plug leaking. And by the way, this is the Derale brand. So I was worried about this drain plug leaking. So what I did is I assembled it, put it together, and then you can see I put a couple of drops of transmission fluid in there, and I just let it sit. And sure enough, 24 hours later, it started to excuse me, it started to leak. So right around that time, I saw another video by Hollywood Hornet, and he's doing the same thing where he installed the same drain plug on the transmission pan on his town car. And what I saw him do is he took some Teflon tape and he put it around this little bung, or around the screw that goes in here. And so what I did is I cleaned it up. I took some Teflon tape, I put it in here, and I put some more trans fluid in here, and it hasn't spilled a drop, or it hasn't even leaked a bit. So if you use this drain plug, it might be a good idea to use some Teflon tape on that screw that you put in there, and this is the little Allen wrench that you use to remove it with. And okay, so now let's talk about doing a transmission flush, or just doing a simple transmission pan drop and only changing 4 quarts. So I do believe there is a time and place when you want to do a transmission flush, and those are times when you suspect contamination. I watched a video where this guy got a transmission, or he got a car from a junkyard, and the rainwater had got into the dipstick tube, and the transmission was completely full of rainwater. So of course he had to drain all that fluid out of there, and then flush clean fluid all through the transmission to get it working again. So that's when you would definitely want to do a flush. And the second type of contamination is what I talked about earlier, and that's if you have a car that takes V and you suspect someone put in LV, or vice versa. You have a car that takes LV and you suspect somebody put in V. That would be another time you would want to do a flush. Other than that, I have not seen any auto manufacturers in their regularly scheduled maintenance guide recommend a flush. I've only seen them recommend a pan drop and a filter change, and that's basically what I've stuck to on my Panther cars. I've never flushed them. I've just done pan drops, filter change, clean the magnet, and then just top it off with 4 quarts of fluid. Okay, so now I want to talk about the cost of this fluid. So basically why I have 3 different brands is because when it comes to my cars, I just use whatever meets the specification, whatever's available, and whatever's cheapest. So that's why I have 3 different brands here. And so this one example I want to show you, this is the Mercon V. I bought this a few days ago, and I walked into my local O'Reilly Auto Parts, and right there on the shelf it said $9.49 just for 1 quart of this LV. And so I thought that was kind of high, so I walked right across the street to my local Ford dealership, and they sell it for $8.35 a quart, and I still thought that was kind of high. So I hit them with my Uno reverse card, my favorite 15% off coupon, and if you're a Costco member, you just log on to the website and put in your member number, and you can get a 15% off coupon on parts and service at any dealership. And there are some exceptions on here. You can't use it on airbags, oil changes, tires, or smog inspections. But I found it works great on parts right over the counter. So I was able to take their $8.35 and then give them my coupon, and I got it for $7.10. So the difference between $9.49 and $7.10, I did the math here, and if you had to do a flush, you would need 14 quarts, and that would be a savings of $33, and that comes out to approximately 22 hot dog and soda lunches at Costco. So I really like saving that 15%. And so keep in mind, sometimes your local Ford dealership is actually cheaper on this fluid than your local parts stores. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.